Maria. Another long summer's day stretched out in front of me. It was only the start of the summer holidays, and the weather forecasters had already promised no clouds until September. Back then, Barry was a magical place in the summer. The green grass of Romley Park, the funfair, the sea, and of course the Nap Lido. But it was Romley Park where Joe, Oscar and I spent our days, sitting in the shelter, making dams in the streams, or robbing apples from the orchard. One girl, two boys, the best company anyone could hope for. Joe was all skin and bones, blind as a bat, with big glasses, one lens much thicker than the other. She was soon to be beautiful, but back then she was just our mate. Oscar was not the brightest boy. He was never going to trouble Mensa, but his heart was in the right place, and he was as strong as the Incredible Hulk. And then there was me, shy, nervous, only 14, but a silver streak already in my hair. I didn't know it then, but that day was the day that would change our lives forever. It was the day that Oscar and I discovered women. Well, one woman in particular, Maria. We always got to the park before Joe. It gave us a chance to kick a ball around or play some cricket, things girls didn't do in those days. We couldn't believe our eyes when we saw Joe approaching with someone else. That wasn't in the rules. It was meant to be the three of us, no interlopers, no strangers. But as she got closer, our jaws dropped for a different reason. The girl by Joe's side was the most beautiful thing we'd ever seen. A bonny lass, blonde, blue eyes, a pale face. She could have been a doll. "Hi boys, this is Maria. Her parents have gone on a cruise, so she's staying with us for a few days." Both Oscar and I stood motionless, staring at the angel put in front of us. If we never believed in God before that day or after, for that moment, we certainly did. "Fred? Oscar? Aren't you going to say hello?" "Hello," we both said pathetically. It turned out that Maria was 15, from Holland, and had the most beautiful sing-song voice. After we'd recovered our composure, we set about interrogating the newcomer. Poor old Joe was like Moses cast out into the wilderness. "So how do you know Joe?" I asked. "We met her last year in Valencia. Her family had a villa next to ours." "And how long are you staying here?" It was Oscar's turn. "Just 3 days, then I go and stay with my nanny and Gramps in Essex." 3 days. We only had 3 days. Those 3 days were all about trying to impress Maria. Oscar and I put in sterling effort, doing the things that 14-year-old boys think impress girls. We bought her Coke, ice cream cones, sweets. We took her rowing on the lake where Oscar called me a ponce for dropping the oar, much to his amusement and my annoyance. At night I talked to her about the stars and the constellation Orion. This time it was Oscar's turn to be frustrated. This was getting messy. Despite our best efforts, neither of us were getting any closer to the magical kiss we both craved. Finally, we had to have Maria make a decision. So, in the age-old Barry tradition, Oscar got a stone and drew a D on the ground. "Stand in the D, Maria," he instructed. She did as she was told. "We both like you," he said, while I blushed. "So you have to make a decision. Him," he poked his thumb dismissively in my direction, "or me." She looked at Oscar and then at me. For a split second, I was sure she was going to choose me. But then we heard the noise of a Honda motorcycle. It was Joe's brother Bernard. Maria smiled, then turned, then hopped on the back of the bike and pulled on Bernard's spare helmet. A cruel end to a beautiful few days.